Yeah, one thing I realized through playing these games was like, damn, yeah, no, I like hentai a lot more.
True.
Hentai is just pretty great.
Yeah, it is on the. Unfortunately, it's on the lower echelon of Goon material that is available out there, and that's probably why it's not as popular as Hentai or Dojin.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm a visual learner. I like to watch it, and I like the voice acting, the whole the settings and how they frame it.
Okay, question then for you: would you prefer Dojins or eroges?
Dojins.
Yeah,
I think Dojins are even better. To be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think to me, Ero games were like in this weird spot where a lot of the visual novel ones, you know, that we've ended up playing, which seems to be the predominant style that these games are.
Yeah.
Seems to be like halfway between a Dojin and a hentai, and then it's stuck in this middle ground where it's neither and doesn't do either of them good.
Yeah.
Whereas at least Love and Deep Space seemed to that kind of had the gameplay and the story building that was very strong, but then you know it was pretty much just video with a couple of interactive elements. You know? It was a video scene.
Yeah.
You know, where you interact with it, and I think that seems like the way forward. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think I want to jerk it to a visual book, you know.
And I think I think the top tier we're talking about is that if a hentai game is so good, then you can remove the hentai scenes. You know, we've had these examples before with like Fate, for example, where you know there is a safe for work version of Fate just because people were so invested in the story, but. God damn, was that reward sweet when you were able to mana transfer and all that stuff?
But that's the thing. I think a good eroge should be the Gooning material is an option, not the main focus. And it should be the thing where it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't mind seeing, you know, going into my Gooner territory with this particular story because it, you know, the way that the story is structured, sometimes it is natural to go into, you know, those like more adult scenes, but... Yeah, again, like with Fate, like with a lot of like the best eroges out there, it's just like you enjoy it for the story and for the characters, and you know, it's like getting paid at work and then receiving a bonus. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
it's literally that. The sex scenes are the bonus that you get at the end of the month.
Yeah, it's just, these are just ass. This is so bad, man. Like,
yeah, it's unfortunate you didn't get to actually experience like the good ones.
Yeah,
because they would just take too long.
Yeah,
because I you know, kind of the thing. So Dojins, I think they set up when I read the Dojins that we did for ours, they are so good at telling the story, which is the payoff, honestly. And it's like you said, bonus. The hentai, the visual aspect of it, they just set up scenarios really well, and then with the combination of animation and voice acting, sell you on the scene.
Yes.
And it's often the story is, it's whatever.
It's
Let's
whatever.
be honest.
Exactly.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's rare that there's both good story and good, I guess, Gooner stuff in hentai.
Yeah.
So they both kind of serve a purpose. And then this felt like a middle ground of like, who is this for? Like I genuinely didn't really know.
Yeah, it's awkward in both directions.
Well, this technically isn't the first eroge you played because you might have forgotten that you played
Sayonara, that's right.
Yeah.
That's an eroge?
That's an eroge.
I never got to the...
You never got to the sex scene?
I don't think so.
Oh.
It's kind of near the end-ish, isn't it?
I can't remember, but I remember there being a sex scene in there.
Yeah, it's definitely an eroge.
I think it was like an implied hand job at one point.
Yeah.
It's such a
maybe you played the safe for work version.
I don't know. I just played the one on Steam. But yeah, that was, I mean, that was a story.
Yeah. And in a story, when sometimes in a vision of like that, with the story so good, you're like, fuck, I don't even want the sex scene.
Yeah,
I'm
fucking out of it.
Exactly. I don't even want the sex scene. I'm just I just want to know what happens next.
Yeah.
God damn. And I didn't realize this until playing Sexcalibur. But holy shit. The big difference I noticed about visual novel sex scenes and just watching a hentai or reading a dojin, God, they last forever. As a kid, I don't know how I fucking sat through the sex scene lasting like 20 minutes or some shit like that. My God.
So much dialogue.
How much patience did I have back then? Jesus.
Yeah, but that's because in the hentai, they cut out all the fucking monologuing.
Yeah,
You
right?
know, whereas in the eroges, you get the full, like, way too detailed monologue where it's like, yeah, all right, I can see that. You don't have to tell me. I don't care about what you're thinking while you're fucking boning this girl. Like, I don't care.
Especially if it's the fucking protagonist of Sexcalibur.
It's like, I don't care. I never cared about you. What is this?
Man, yeah, what a what a just miserable recording experience. This is like honestly some of the least fun 2 hours of my life.
Yeah.
It was so shit.
Suffice it to say, this will be the first and last time we do an episode like this.
Oh
Yes.
my god! Can you go back to watching animation? My lord.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I would be okay experiencing more Love and Deep Space. That's the only one I would be interested in. Just out of
I
like,
just want to see what they got cooking.
yeah, I just, I gotta give the respect when people have cooked, and they absolutely fucking cooked
100%.
in the Love and Deep Space.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have a wife who appreciates the lore and the characters who can enlighten me on that. Because now I know how it feels after seeing that and hearing about your guys' experience about the game and everything. I get it when girls are like, no, this isn't just a gooning game, because that's how I feel whenever I have to explain like fucking Genshin Impact or Nikkei or something, where I'm like, yeah, I know what it looks like, but I swear it has a lore and world and characters that are interesting. I swear, guys, shut the see. This is it. This is exactly what I'm fighting,
People
guys.
asking about Masterpiece, I'm like, yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And that's why it's the goated one at it.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You don't agree?
No.
Okay.
That's with me though.
Well, maybe one day, Joey.
Maybe one day if we get a guy version of Love and Deep Space, I'll change my mind.
Yeah, but it does feel like hentai games are getting more and more like rarer nowadays, because it seemed like back in the day there were so many visual novels that just had a hentai element to it or like a sex element to it, but nowadays, I mean, I think people. I think
they're
have,
still around. It's just we've not real. It's not in our eyesight anymore.
I think it's strange because at one point it's become a lot more accepted that people just watch this kind of stuff and play this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like super normalized now. But at the same time, it feels like recently, in terms of like what is acceptable to talk about or share, it feels like it has been kind of hush hush lately. Last year or two, like kind of going back a bit more and be a bit more conservative. And so I think it's a very weird time for things that are specifically like labeled as like basically pornography.
Well, I think we've come full circle where we've seen some people that I'm like, damn, you're a bit too down bad. Like,
Sure.
I can.
It's always just be in moderation.
Yeah, exactly. And you kind of look at some people and you're like, all right, I'm horny. People get horny. I'm not that horny, and I'm afraid of being associated with that kind of image.
Yeah, because I think when you base your whole personality around basically porn, you've gone too far. Like that's when you've kind of lost all semblance of like class.
Yeah.
Your personality should never be that you watch hentai or you play these games.
You're not special.
Yeah, because like it's just you're just giving into a basic human desire.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't say anything about you. I think it's quite sad to, we do these episodes and stuff and we talk about it. And I think in a way that I'd like to hope is more of a positive way of approaching this and being honest about it and recognizing that something is stupid.
Yeah, realizing what it is at the end of the day.
So I think like, look, if you can talk about it, you can play these games, you can do whatever. But like at the end of the day, don't go too deep and don't be like, I'm going to base my whole personality off being a gooner.
Yeah.
Like that's not, because you see that now and sometimes they're like, oh, I can't wait to goon to this. And you're like, maybe you should keep that to yourself sometimes. Like, there is no
keep the draft.
Yeah, in like keeping the stuff to yourself and being a bit more thoughtful with it and just don't let gooning be your personality. Is what I'm trying to get at.
All I'm going to say is when I was like heavily into playing erogays and stuff like that in high school, I wasn't fucking going around being like, guys, you want to hear about the latest fucking Goon game I played?
Well, it's because now it's like based. It's like,
now it's based apparently.
You're based as fuck.
Now it's based apparently.
If you jack off to anime
it's like,
porn,
whoa.
you're based.
Back then, I didn't fucking say it because I didn't want to get beaten up.
Yeah.
That's the simple fact of the matter. I didn't want to get beaten up.
There was some charm to it being like that back in the day, but it was a bit more. You had to be a bit more conscious about when you talked about it.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I never talked about it back in the day.
No, you wouldn't. Who could you?
No,
talk
you
about
couldn't,
that bro. I remember the first time I watched it, I was so fucking embarrassed.
Yeah,
to
I
myself.
couldn't talk about it.
I don't think you should be embarrassed about watching it. Right at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But like, I think
just don't make it your whole
you
personality.
shouldn't be saying it to anyone and everyone. There's like some personalities they rightfully don't want to talk about. It's not a thing you should bring up all the time.
Yeah, because
It's with the boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I talk about hentai with these boys, because these boys my mates. But I generally, I've had people come up to me and be like, "Yo, I watched like fucking Masterpiece or shit like that," and I'm like,
bro, I met you 5 minutes.
Yeah, I met you 5 minutes ago. I'm like, there's a barrier right there where I don't feel as comfortable to talk about this. You know,
I don't even know your last name. Like, you didn't have to tell me this.
yeah. And I'm like, I don't talk about this all the time. Obviously, it seems like online where, you know, we have our jobs, we talk about this on camera and stuff. And obviously you've seen my wife's content, but you know, that's,
you got to ground yourself.
Yeah.
You got to be grounded, you know.
Yeah, that is what we show online, and because we're comfortable with each other.
Yeah. And because at the end of the day, it's really funny.
Yeah, most of the stuff's very funny.
It's fucking hilarious.
It is hilarious.
And I think when you embrace that, like, sometimes the shit can just be funny, I feel like it's so much healthier to just be able to talk about it and engage with it, rather than have it just be like on the depths of the Steam store. You know, I think it's a lot more fun to be able to talk about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it's interesting to me.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching porn.
Yeah.
You know,
Totally.
so I think having a more healthy discussion with it is always good.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm crazy.
But that's just a theory.
A goon theory.
A goon theory.
A goon theory.
Why is it that when we always have a hentai episode, it's always the most civil fucking
It is. We do get very
episodes.
civil. I think because we don't want to send the wrong message.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we want to get at each other's throat and be like, are you going to Excalibur? What the fuck? I also just don't want people to think I goon to that.
Yeah.
That's not what does it for me.
Yeah.
Having this power trip and peeing on people, this is not... That does not do it for me. That is, I think this is the softest I've ever been in my life playing these games.
Legit, yeah.
I feel like when a scenario doesn't appeal to you, it's almost the inverse effect of like, oh,
Totally.
oh.